It's snow. It is Snowmageddon, Nikki. Yeah, welcome to the Nikki and Rule podcast experience. I'm Rule Sample, joined by Nikki Bascom. What is going on behind you? You've got Farmer Brown on the beach.
It's dreaming. It's dreaming. Manifestation right here. We're manifesting the war. It's my
Meanwhile,
vision board. It's my vision board.
it's your vision. Well, meanwhile, we've got several inches of snow coming down that are scheduled to come down on the Wilmington area. When we say several inches, probably one, but it's cold outside and it's icing up already. So think good thoughts as Farmer Brown, Farmer Bascom sits there because Nikki, show the audience what's behind that island that you've got there. What's behind the island?
Do I really show them? You want me to show them?
Yeah, let's show them. So, just so you all see, nothing actually really changes. So that is the topiary behind the island. So, good evening, Nikki. I hope you've had a good week. We took last week off, and it's the first day of Trump.
I'm just excited you remembered my name. You struggled with it a few minutes ago.
We're not supposed to bring in pre-recorded stuff into the recording, Nikki. But so it's the first day of Trump. Things have been going along already. Several dozen uh, uh, presidential executive orders signed, and you could
Dozens
just
more.
dozens more coming.
Gosh.
The border is basically closed. He's already started rounding up some illegal aliens. The Republicans are passing good bills. It's a new day in America.
It is a new day, and wow, it's been. I've talked to a lot of my friends who were kind of on the fence post as to whether they liked Trump, whether they didn't, but they have been so excited about everything that's going on, which is a change. It is a huge change. So here comes our golden era. We're
It's the
ready.
golden era. It's
Yeah.
he's even gotten so granular as to declare through presidential executive order what a guy is and what a girl is, and I think that's the state of where we are right now. So these next 4 years, just hold on. It's only just begun.
Well, it's so funny. I said for the longest time, especially when we were in the midst of COVID, everybody wanted to say, listen to science. Oh, but not that science. That's not the science we want to listen to. Listen to the science that we tell you to listen to. So maybe, yeah, maybe things will change a little bit. People will start listening a little bit better and critical thinking. Come on, let's just
Yeah.
thinking for ourselves, thinking logically, get out of our emotions, get out of the knee jerk reactions, get off of social media and start really thinking. Don't
Once
get
you
off don't get off of TWC though.
Once you are done listening to the Nikki and Rule podcast experience and reading through the latest editions of the Wilmington Conservative, and we are actually, by the way, here's an announcement: we are adding audio to all of our articles. All of our articles will now have audio on them, so that will be folks who have a hard time looking at screens, or if you're driving in a car, you can listen to our articles via your headphones. But we also have a very, very great guest tonight. And he is a very good friend of Nikki's. I've gotten to know him a little bit. Nikki, tell the good folks who our guest is for tonight. Well,
I am so excited. This is someone that I have known 20 odd years, actually built my house. Someone that, okay, I swear the cops are going to come knocking on my door for stalking people because I stalk this person all the time. He is a bluegrass musician, and if anybody knows me, I love my bluegrass. I am a country girl through and through, and every once in a while he lets me hop on stage and sing with him. But hey, here's Perry Hewlett. Welcome to the show.
Glad to be here on this snowstorm party night.
Let's hope that the internet holds up through all the storm. Folks are at home. They're all going online and listening to stuff, watching movies. So the internet is working hard overnight. So
That's
Perry,
right. It's not our fault. It's the weather technology. I mean, the weather's interfering with the technology. It's not our fault. If the
Exactly.
internet
That's correct.
comes and goes a little bit, so
That's correct. So one of the things that Nikki introduced you as is that you built her house.
right.
Why would you do a
built-
thing like that?
Well, I was a builder. I happened to sell the house to her husband, and this was
It just came along.
20 years ago. This was 2006.
Yep.
And he already lived on Middle Sound in a smaller house and wanted a new house. And I had known him and Nikki, and the rest is history. So,
So how long have you been building houses here in New Hanover County?
oh gosh, when I got out of college in the 80s, I came back home because I wanted to live in Wilmington, and there were no jobs in Wilmington then. The economy was just devastated here. Unless you worked at GE or the hospital or the school system or somewhere, or had some family business, there was nothing here. So I wanted to stay here, and this was an option to get into the family home building business. My dad was a realtor and had dabbled in it a little bit and bought a small chunk of land. And then I got into it and ended up liking it. It's a very creative thing. It's kind of like playing music or other types of art. It was, you could get in there and create things. That was the part I liked. The getting out on the job site with the guys, not the most fun thing on days like today when some of them would want to work and I'd have to go out there. But yeah, it was a creative thing, and I like being outdoors. I'm an outdoorsy person, so it was a good fit, and it lasted for a long, long time. So, now I don't do it so much. I've retired from building. I still have some land I sell a little bit, some of the remaining land. But now I just enjoy playing music and going out in my boat.
No, I just wanted to ask you about some of your bluegrass stuff. I know that you play in local bands around town, and tell us a little bit about that. But also, I want to hear about some of the instruments that you play, because you are one of the most talented musicians I've ever seen, and I'm so impressed with how many instruments you can play. So, tell us about that. I know that you play the
Well,
banjo. Tell us
one
about
reason
that.
for the number of instruments, I'll start at the beginning. When I was a kid, I think I mentioned this before, the only TV stations we got out around here had limited programming. So you saw the Beverly Hillbillies and Andy Griffith show, ad nauseum. It was all the time. And there was a lot of banjos on that. And I like banjo. As a kid, I was like, wow, that's just neat. How are they doing that? So I learned to play banjo at like 10 years old. And by the time I was 15, I was pretty good, but you weren't necessarily one of the cool kids if you played banjo. So, of course, I learned guitar and rock and roll like everybody else. And, went to college and got out and worked and didn't think anything about it, but then started to get in bands. And I noticed they might not want banjo, and there were 10,000 guitar players. So I learned to play these other instruments like the dobro, the pedal steel, a little bit of fiddle, just various things. And I got into the kind of oddball instruments because if I wanted to join a band, I could play at least something in that band. So that increased my chances of being able to get out and play with people. So I didn't want to be restricted to one instrument. And for a while, I couldn't play any of them that well, except maybe banjo. But over a period of time, I got better at all of them. And the music scene in Wilmington wasn't that vibrant back in the 80s. It was beach music, country music, a little rock and roll. But now it's just like a mecca. It's almost like the Asheville of the East Coast, as far as acoustic music, folk music, bluegrass, singer-songwriter. I know more singer-songwriters than than I do regular presidents. Like everybody is writing songs now. I used to do that. Now I'm like, well, it's not special. Now everybody does. So, but the scene, yeah, the music scene in Wilmington is very vibrant. We just played a house party on Middle Sound last Thursday. Some guy sold tickets, had a brand new house built on Mason Landing Road, and sold tickets and called us up. This was the End of the Line band. And he had 75 people there that he sold tickets to. I was like, oh, I thought this was just a little house party. And I told John, I said, we should have practiced more. But it went off really well. But it was just amazing how these people remembered us and liked us so much that they wanted us to come back after seeing us at Ted's on the River. We used to be the house band there, and that's another place that's really fascinating.
Yes.
Some people may not know about it. Ted's Fun on the River. An old friend of mine, Kelly Jewell, his nickname is Ted, went to school with him many years ago. He opened up this little venue right at the boat ramp at the Memorial Bridge, the Cape Fear Bridge, and has all kinds of acts from all over the place that come to this venue, and it's very popular. And it specializes more in singer-songwriter, more acoustic things. It's not like a bar that you hear rock bands playing all the time and stuff.
I was going to mention that it's not much of a bar. It's more of a listening.
It's a listening room. That's how they advertise it as a listening room. Yeah,
to the
which
music.
is really neat. Yeah, you can hear all kinds of artists. Some of them semi-professional, some professional artists come in there. We were maybe just the locals. So we related to a lot of people, we like the gatekeepers, the locals, whatever. But that was
there are some amazing venues around the town. You've got, of course, the one downtown, the big outdoor arena down there at Live Oak. But you also have out farther along, you've got Glenfield Lake,
Greenfield Lake
Lake
Amphitheater. Yeah, that's a really special place. We played on that twice before for various reasons. But yeah, that's my favorite. I like it better than the Live Oak venue because that's big and you have to sit on the lawn sometimes and parking's a concern. So anyway, it's, but it's for the larger bands that you can't get in some of these other venues. I think Alison Krauss and Jerry Douglas are coming April 26th. Yeah. That's pretty neat.
Nikki's got that marked on her calendar. And there's also a barber shop.
Anyone has front row tickets, I'm free that night.
Okay, we'll keep that. Yeah, there's a lot of music here. I mean, it's just and Wilmington's an artistic venue too, not just music. It's, all the arts, which it didn't used to be quite like that. We had Thalian Hall, which is a big deal. But the music scene and some of the other arts, it's exploded here. And that's why a lot of people, I think one reason why they're retiring here. Other reasons, of course, are the weather.
Perry, you have claim to fame in the TV movie industry as well. Tell us about your debut on television.
Two of the bands I played in, there are guys that work at the movie studio, and they have gotten us into pictures, productions, and things. One of the bands I played in the 90s, the two of the guys, one was a prop master on Dawson's Creek, and the other one was a set designer. So we played their rap parties, their parties and things, and they used some of our instruments and things. I mean, there's an amplifier of mine on Dawson's Creek that you'll see in there. I watched the episode just to see my amp. And there's my amp, I don't care about this. So, things like that was pretty neat. And they got us into some movies. We were in Radioland Murders. I just did a George and Tammy miniseries that one of the guys, they were looking for a dobro player. They had the Roy Acuff band playing opening scene for the George Jones band. And George Jones was Michael Shannon. And they didn't have a dobro player in the Roy Acuff band. They flew all these Nashville studio musicians in, and the dobro player his wife went into labor, so he couldn't leave. So they were scrambling to find a dobro player, and they asked all these sources, and everybody in town pointed to me, mainly because no one else played the thing. And in the movies, they hire musicians because they don't want actors trying to pretend like they're musicians, the hand motions and everything else. They want the seedy look of a musician, so they want actual musicians, which is kind of a neat concept for authenticity. But that was really neat. They had Thayen Hall decorated up like the Ryman Auditorium. It was very authentic. If you saw it, you'd never know it was Thayen Hall with the green screen behind it and all that. And they had it really hot in there, and these girls kept coming up and spraying me with a spray bottle. I said, "Why are you doing that?" They said, "The Ryman Auditorium in 1968 had no air conditioning. So it was wet." I was like, "Okay, whatever you say." It was a really neat experience. Roy Acuff was played by Tim Blake Nelson, who was Delmar in "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" And I was like, "Holy crap!" Yeah, it was Delmar, and I was just blown away. I was like expected to perform right then, and shocked, and I just didn't know all this. And I was like, "Wow!" So I asked him at the end of the performance. I said, "Does this make me a soggy bottom boy?" And he said, "You're as much of one as I am." So my official verification. We played at Man of Constant Sorrow the other night. I said, "I'm bonafide," because
we actually have a video of you playing the dobro. So let me bring that in here just a second. Here we go. Why do the best thing know is disappear like Ophelia? He's knocking my door. When I hear well, that last part was actually was filmed right across the street from me at all three of our good friends Billy's across the street. So what actually no it wasn't.
It was not filmed at Billy's. That is actually Perry's backyard. That is a stage that he built in his backyard. So tell us about that stage. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, that particular night I invited Billy out. We used to have a lot of oyster roasts here, and I would do it out behind my garage, and I would always have musicians come over to play. And we'd sit out there in the dark. I mean, we had lights for the oyster roast that were kind of harsh, and we'd sit out there and lose our guitar picks in the grass and stuff. And I said, I need to build a structure or something for musicians so we could sit out here and play while we have these outdoor parties. And I built this stage. It's got, it looks like a house missing the front wall, and you could just go into the house, but it was built like a barn. And I wanted everything to look old, like an old country store. And that was the effect I was trying to get. And it worked like a charm. I decorated with certain lights and certain wall hangings and lanterns and different things, and invite different musicians over. I've had the satellite crowd on Sunday nights over. Yeah, I've had Nikki come over and sing. And Billy Barwick, your friend, had him come over. And quite a few different bands have come over there to the stage and played. I've tried to start getting a semi-regular jam session going there. So that's pretty neat.
And I sneak over there every chance I get.
And I get the neighbors, right? All the neighbors come and to hear Nikki sing, and after a few adult beverages, it sounds really good. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, it does.
Why has Wilmington become such a big epicenter of music? And it's not just one genre of music. It's a whole wide range of things. Is it UNCW? What's going on?
I think all of these things are a factor. A college town, it's got a movie studio, just the basic physics of the town. You got an ocean and a historic district. There's so many things contributing to this, and it's a retirement community and a resort town. So all of those things factor in entertainment and music. So, as opposed to other areas that maybe don't have some of these features. but it was always kind of a resort area. I mean, even back years ago, beach music was a big deal because of it being a beach town. The piers, fishing piers, and the like the Lumina. Even back at the turn of the century, if you look at the Lumina, they had big band music. Tommy Dorsey and Benny Goodman, all these people that came from New York City to come to little podunk Wilmington to play because just the ocean and the unique features of Wilmington, I think.
Huh.
I want to talking about the history in that little clip behind you on the wall is a huge map of 1910 of the Ogden area. How long has your family been around the Ogden area?
Well, my family, the Hewlett family, settled in the 1700s on Masonboro Sound, not Middle Sound.
Oh, wow.
I've lived on Middle
Okay.
Sound a good chunk of my life. But yeah, that was where you might have heard of Hewlett's Creek, which, by the way, was Dawson's Creek in the Dawson's Creek show. Same body of water. They filmed it right there.
I would sue them for stealing your name.
Or at least your water.
But one of my relatives wanted some royalties for that. They should pay us for using our creek. I said, good luck trying to get that. Good luck trying to get money out of that. But yeah, the Hewletts settled down there. But I have lived on Middle Sound so long, and I was just fascinated by the history there because it's one place in New Hanover County that is kind of devoid of history, and partly because it was farmland. The Covell family had a lot of farmland there, and so I guess the historians ignored it to some extent, but there's a lot of other historical things that happened in the area. They had a write-up in Wrightsville Beach magazine not long ago about pirates, and just they found gold doubloons near the landfall area right here where it connects to Middle Sound, and just all kinds of fascinating stuff that I'm not surprised, but some people are surprised. I thought, no, there's a lot of history that happened here on Middle Sound, and I'm, of course, trying to uncover as much as I can. I've been to the North Carolina room a lot and looked up deeds and gone through various stories. The oldest antebellum plantation house is on Middle Sound. It used to be called the Everett Plantation in the early 1800s. Pages Creek, now which separates Bayshore from Middle Sound, used to be called Everett's Creek because that was so important. It was a 900-acre plantation, of course, with slaves. And now the football player Michael Strahan bought it, and he separated from his wife. She owns it now, and they lease it out as a wedding venue. And it's been used quite a bit. So that's the old plantation house. It's been, renovated so many times. But that's just fascinating that it was the oldest one in the area. So yeah, there's a lot of probably untold stories here, and that map that I have on the wall I got from a friend of mine, got it for me from an old surveyor's office, and it has details of things that are just surprising, old schoolhouses and just various things, that certain landmarks and things that to me are interesting from being down here. I would like to learn even more and more, and I really should get together with some people and do some interviews with some of these old people that know even more stories, but there's not enough time in the day to do everything you want to do.
Maybe we could have them on the podcast, learn a
go.
little bit more about our culture. You talk about, you guys both were mentioning how so many people are moving to our area. And I think it's really important for us to not just preserve the culture and the history of our area, but to share it with them and tell them, why do you like bluegrass? Why do you have oyster roast and bonfires? And why does everyone have a burn pit? Well, this is why. This is our culture. I would love for us to dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of, you use the word culture, that existed in New Hanover County because it's a much older county than people realize, and a lot of it was really rural. Wilmington was just a little city right down on the Cape Fear River, and the county itself was pretty rugged, until maybe the last 30 years. But I remember it, before 1990, and as a kid, and it was, out in the middle of nowhere, and had a lot of stories to tell. And I still think there are some stories to tell in this area. At least I would like to think so. But I
Well,
could probably point you to some people you should interview if you want to go down that road, because some old
yeah.
timers that are in their 80s and they have stories of, that oral tradition is a big deal for things like that.
Now, Middlestown Loop used to be a dirt road, and it wasn't that long ago. Do you know
Right.
when Middlestown Loop used to be a dirt road?
Before 1940, I know in 53 they finished all the pavement, but yeah,
Oh,
it was in the 30s, and there was a portion of Middletown they didn't even pave for a long time, and yeah, so it was pretty out in the country. There was one book written about this area. Nola Nadeau was the lady's name, and it was kind of a history of Ogden, Middle Sound, Bayshore, and Scotts Hill. And she touched on some of these things briefly. In fact, she got me thinking about a lot of this stuff. And she went out and did this exact thing I'm talking about, interviewing some of the old farmers and things. She went to the nursing home and talked to them and got all these stories. And there's some fascinating stories of things that happened out in this area. So,
So, Mason's Landing, you mentioned that earlier. Was Mason's Landing like a pecan farm or something like that? And I know somewhere right around where you and I live was a peanut farm, which makes it very difficult. People don't understand when you have a peanut farm, it's very difficult to turn it over into something else because we have nematodes, root knot
exactly.
nematodes,
Exactly.
because of the peanut farm that used to be right here.
It was a 100-acre farm, and a one-armed farmer owned this. His name was Buster Johnston. I remember as a kid because my dad bought the front street in Glen Arbor from this farmer in 1972, and I remember seeing the guy, and he had one arm. I just, how can you forget something like that? But he had bought it in 1953, I think, and sold it, that front part, to my dad in 1972. And then in the 80s, I borrowed enough money and bought the back section where I live now and where you live now. But yeah, it had nematodes. I remember getting the letters from the Department of Agriculture saying you can no longer export crops from this land because it would infest other things with nematodes, which are tiny little worms in the soil that destroy plants. So yeah, that was interesting little tidbit of information. But
Well, it's hard for me, isn't it? It's
Mason
hard for
Landing
me
Road,
as
there was a development called Buena Vista, which was
yes,
turn of the century, and it
it's still
has
there.
the oldest regular house on Middle Sound. Was built in 1899. It's on that bluff overlooking Figure Eight Island
The
and the waterway,
Broadfoots,
the Broadfoot House. Exactly.
the Broadfoot house.
See, you
Yep.
know more of this history than you think.
Well, the Broadfoot's daughter is actually
Your
lives
neighbor.
right here in our neighbor. Yep, she lives in our neighborhood, but
She's a
they
good
still
one to
have a
interview.
sign. Yeah. Well, I want to get her dad on here because they still live
Yeah.
on that bluff, and they have a sign out there that says Buena Vista, and he actually has a map very similar to yours that
The
shows.
subdivision. I've got that
Yep.
map. I've got
Yep,
one up.
how all of it was meant to be a subdivision, and now I think some of their ancestors donated it to UNCW
Correct.
as
Like
a
a
research place because I
huh.
think it has a freshwater pond. Is that what it is? There's a freshwater pond, and it's the closest one to
I've heard
salt
that. Yeah.
water.
Yeah. I've
And
heard
it
that. I
turns
haven't
red.
seen it. I'd love to go back there and look. I'd love to meet him. I've heard about him for years and just don't know the man, but that would be,
Oh, we're gonna make this happen. We're gonna make this happen.
he might not want it to happen, but we're going to make it happen.
Now, can we still build subdivisions here in New Hanover County? We're getting mighty crowded. There's a lot of apartments going up,
Yes.
but
That's
do
correct.
we have room for any more subdivisions, or are we?
Castle Hayne, they're going through a battle right now to try to rezone some acreage, and there's green space is going away. Yeah, it's a battle to get a subdivision, that encompasses a lot of land. That's why they're accepting some of this high density properties because it doesn't use up all of the land. But yeah, land is at a premium in New Hanover County.
Yeah, I mean, you go 30 minutes outside of Wilmington, you've got plenty of land to build in, but
Like Brunswick and Pender have, that's where the most of the new subdivisions are planned for. And there's a lot of that, thousands of homes planned in both of those, because the average Wilmingtonian can't hardly afford a home here. Or at least if you're a young person trying to find, say, a starter home, they don't exist anymore. So
wow.
that's sad, but
So
true.
you are getting out of the building business. What are you going to do now?
Sleep late and play music.
Yeah.
And
No,
chase me off of his stage.
Well, no, I wouldn't do that. Nikki's who she thinks she is. She's,
I would.
we
I
could
would.
sell tickets to our performances and things.
Do have fun. We're going to have to invite Rule the next time because we have.
Definitely.
It's
The whole
a time
experience, if you saw
everybody
the
gets on
thing
stage.
at night, the whole experience at the stage, it's not just the music, it's the camaraderie, it's the openness. A lot of nights you can hear the ocean in the background. We'll get out there some nights, just look at the stars and the trees. Everybody I bring there says, it's like a tree museum. And, because that's one thing that's disappearing in New Hanover County, trees. They built a huge subdivision behind us called Anchor's Bend and cleared all the trees out.
Wow.
And people walk their dogs and stuff. I was at my mailbox one day. Some lady from Anchor's Bend walked down the street. She said, it's like a tree museum. I said, well, you don't have to cut them all,
What is that old song? They paved
What-
paradise.
Put up a parking lot. Yeah. That's right. That's right. So that's the philosophy that we should all
That's the one
try to
thing.
live by. Most of the land that we developed was cut up into half-acre lots, and you don't see that anywhere anymore. Everything now is quarter acre, and that's considered a large lot. So that's why where we live is kind of a nice area, because it's considered maybe somewhat unspoiled because of the trees and the size of the lots. But yeah, that's a thing of the past, it seems like now, especially in New Hanover County.
Well, Perry,
It
it's
is,
been
and I
great
got very
having. Perry, it's been great having you on the show. I mean, you're amazing, and I look forward to bringing my baritone uke over to your place on nights that Nikki's
Yes.
not going to be there, and we'll have a good time together.
That sounds great. That sounds great. And Nikki can come. Nikki should come. She's
Yeah.
better
Okay.
than she thinks she is. She should just.
I'm the gatekeeper of this neighborhood. Rule. You can't join. You can't come into my neighborhood without me knowing it. And here's why: because Perry doesn't cut down the trees. You can't see my house from the road, but I can see you. So don't even try to sneak into my neighborhood.
Yeah,
So
that's-
you're the
Doesn't happen.
you're the neighborhood Mrs. Kravitz, basically. You're
And if you know that reference, you're really old.
that's right.
Don't the next one Bewitched, right? See, I know that.
Perry, thanks again. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're going to put you back in the green room, and really do appreciate you having us with you, having you with us. And we're going to have you back on very, very, very soon. Thanks again for joining us.
I certainly
you,
appreciate
Perry.
it. Thanks for inviting me.
He is a good guy.
Yeah, of course. Of course. He's my friend. What else would you expect? Well, honestly, here's the crazy thing is even though during campaign season and as running as a candidate, it was real easy for people to tear me apart, the people that didn't know me. But I have some great friends. And the craziest part is someone like that. He built my house. He's my neighbor. We've been friends for 20 years. We sit around and his girlfriend, oh my gosh, I love his girlfriend. Her and a couple of other ladies in the neighborhood, we have this little group that we get together, and actually Perry pinned us as the Order of the Cackling Hens. So, as part of this, as our podcast starts to grow and I don't know, evolve. I hope that we can bring not only a sense of culture and history of our area, but also a little bit of about getting to know you or getting to know me. I know you were kind of pigeonholed into the GOP podcast, and people don't know who you really are, and people pigeonholed me into this nasty little candidate and didn't really know me. So I hope this is an opportunity for people to see past the labels and past all these other things. And yes, we are the Wilmington conservative, but we're real people, and we need to start treating people as real people.
That's
And
right. That's right.
we have friends and we have lives and we have people that love us as well, just like everyone else out there. And we just need to start remembering that, especially on social media where it's real easy to get on your little keyboard.
You know,
Um,
there's a person on social media today who posted that the government should shut down the social media every night from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Now, I'm not a real big fan of the government doing things like that, but wouldn't that be great if we all put away social media for 12 hours every single day, or even more, and just the world would be an amazingly different place, except for the
well,
Wilmington conservative.
well, there you go. You still have to have that.
Yes.
But gluttony is one of the seven deadly sins. And how many people just constantly are on social media, can't live without it, can't. I mean, you have a lag in social media or you have a lag in your internet, and all of a sudden your head is about to explode because I need it, I want it. And we have set ourselves up to for failure. It's one of the seven deadly sins, and you need to learn how to unplug.
Right.
And I struggle with it. And if you think we struggle with it as adults, what about our
Oh,
children?
I know.
Oh, they are certainly struggling. Thank God we didn't have social media when I was a kid. This would
Well,
probably be a totally different conversation.
Well, as I said at the beginning of the show, we are filming this as Snowmageddon comes in. New Hanover schools are remote learning all this week. How are your kids handling all that?
They are so excited. It's funny, at the beginning of this podcast, my daughter texted me, it's. And then somewhere in the middle of this, you do hear where the garage door underneath me goes up because they're all getting the whatever they can find out of the garage to scoot down the driveway. Yeah, there's no ice yet. There's nothing to scoot on, but hey, we're Southerners. We're not used to this. We're going to find anything to scoot down the driveway.
Whereas I'm from Erie, Pennsylvania, we've already had several feet of snow by this
Yeah,
time.
you get snow, the lake effect snows
We get
up
the
there.
lake effect snow, yes. So we kind of chuckle at you folks.
Yes,
So
you can chuckle. And here is my thing. Speaking of social media, what really frustrates me is everyone goes crazy. Oh my gosh, we're only getting an inch of snow, and all these locals around here are freaking out. We've never seen it. It just doesn't happen very often. And yeah, you know how to drive in snow, but do you really trust me to drive in snow? I'm on the road with you. Would you really want to be driving next to
that's
me?
right.
Oh, I highly
Absolutely not.
I don't recommend it. But then in the same token, when it comes to preparing for hurricanes, you're going to come to me and ask me how to prepare because that's what I know. That's what I do. I'm gonna tell you how to play bluegrass, how to sing bluegrass, start a bonfire, roast some oysters the proper way, and prepare for a hurricane.
And
Good to go.
if you're really good, you could do all of that at the same time.
Oh, I am so good.
So your kids are home for the rest of the week, and then they go back to school on Monday. But it's
Officially announced that they're out of school all week.
I think they did. Yeah, I think they did. I think that was on social media. I think they did that. But I'm just I know they're out tomorrow. There's nobody going anywhere tomorrow. So
Yeah, they're out tomorrow. See, I'm one of those really involved parents, and
yes.
I was worried about soccer.
So
our,
also,
our son just made the soccer team, which was amazing because the second day of tryouts, he came home with 102 fever, and I was like, oh no, he has worked so hard to make the soccer team, and luckily he made it. But they were supposed to have practice today and a game tomorrow, which got canceled. So I was just busy trying to figure out what our schedule's going to be after school the next few weeks. Oh,
so
yay.
we have two trivia questions that are pending.
Yes.
The first trivia question is about a county just out. So you want to refresh our memories about the county that we're talking about.
We're talking about Duplin County. So, Duplin County became its own county in what year, and what year did it secede, or what county did it succeed from? Secede. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it right. Which
So
county did it separate from?
now I haven't seen anybody reply. Now, folks, we are all over social media ourselves. We're on all the podcasts. You can comment on our website. So I haven't seen that yet. So what is the answer to the Duplin County question?
1750.
1750.
They became their own county in 1750. Now, what had happened was the capital at that time was New Bern, Craven County, and their Duplin County was part of New Hanover County. So, if you could imagine going to the courthouse from Duplin County in 1750, it was a treacherous trip to make it down the Cape Fear River, or do you say up or down
Up,
the
up.
Cape Fear River
Oh,
to New Hanover County.
oh,
Well,
okay.
Duplin is north of us, so I guess it would be down
Yeah, it'll
to
be
New
down.
Hanover County for anything court related. If you had to put in birth certificates, death certificates, court cases, deeds, anything like that, because the Register of Deeds always went through the courthouse. So you would have to come in 1750, you would have to come all the way from Duplin County down to New Hanover County. But then they went to New Bern, which was the capital at that time, and were able to become their own county. There's other counties that has happened to, but I've lived here my whole life and never knew that. I found it so, and that's why I'm so happy that you're willing to take this cultural journey and history journey with me of finding out all these little things that have happened around our area that you might not know about. But Duplin County, it's like way up there. It's
And the family argument that has stressed your marriage to a breaking point over whether the P is an upside down B.
oh, everything stresses our family out. Don't even think
So now
that
you
was
also
nothing.
so you also have a pending announcement. Can you announce that yet, or do we need to keep folks in? Folks, we continue to have to keep you in suspense about
I
the.
asked today if I was able to, and I was told no.
Yeah,
So,
okay, all right. So
not much longer, not much longer.
so we're going to ask our trivia question for the night.
Oh, Lord.
And I know you haven't because you actually texted to me, I think, earlier today or something. So while Nikki is furiously thinking of her if you have an answer to the trivia question, or if you want to leave a comment on our podcast, we are on all of the social media networks. We are on all of the podcast platforms. We're on YouTube. We're on Rumble, and in all those places. Please leave your comments. Let us know that you're listening. Please like and subscribe, because things like that help us get in front of folks, so that our podcast then just sort of grows on an exponential basis. So, Nikki, what do you got for us tonight?
Well, I'm going to go right along with the same lines of Duplin County. What year did New Hanover County become its own county? And from what county did it come from?
Wow.
I can't say secede or separate. I did hint to an area close to here earlier tonight. So it's very interesting. And then, okay, hang on. Another bonus trivia question. How many ancestors on my mother and my father's side fought in the American
Oh, there you go. There you go.
How many of my ancestors from my mother and father's side fought in the Revolutionary War? There's a bonus one.
That's a bonus question. Please leave your comments on our website or wherever you find our podcast. We would love to hear your answers. We'd love to give to listen to your response on our podcast. Nikki Bascom, it's a great show and a great time being with you. Thanks for being here again.
Rule sample. It's a great day. Every day with you will be a great day.
It is a great day.
You don't
Thanks
even
again.
know what to say. I was nice.
You were. I can't handle things like that. So thank you all very much. And I'm Rule Sample. And
I'm
that's
Nikki Bascom.
And you've been listening to the Nikki and Rule podcast experience. We'll see you all next time.